Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Rohloff.
And thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report right here on GovTV. It's your source for some of the local news and updates that are happening right here in Oshkosh, as well as a preview of some of the highlights on the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, and we are joined, as always, by our Oshkosh City Manager, Mark Rohloff. So, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today, once again.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's great to have you. We've always got a lot to talk about, and we've got a few hot topics and updates to give you in the first half of today's show. We'll dive into those, and then we'll come back with that highlight part of the Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. So, Mark, first little update that we want to give people, is on the Little Oshkosh project. Now, the old Little Oshkosh structure has officially been removed.
The playground itself has been removed, but there were some people haven't gone out there to Menominee Park, partially because Hazel Street is still under construction, so people haven't been able to see it. But this is the way it exists and is going to remain in terms of the brick pavers and the entryway are there, and they're going to remain there. I know a lot of people who made dedications with the bricks 20 years ago. Those are still going to remain there. It's just the playset itself that's going to get changed. And so we were out there filming this the day that the surveyors were out there. So anything that's going to be taken away has already been taken away. So all the loving memories that were done for loved ones, family members, different groups and things like that, that'll all remain. And so there'll still be a little bit of history and nostalgia that'll be there. But then we get a great new playground, which from a safety standpoint was absolutely needed. And I've talked to some younger kids, and they're excited about a new playground. I know some people still hang on to the nostalgia of everything that the Little Oshkosh project was originally, but the wood had got severely splintered. If you hadn't been there in a while, it was really dangerous, and we could not in good conscience leave that facility out there and allow children to play on it. Furthermore, we were always putting out a lot of wood chips to have the good fall area for the kids, and that we were spending thousands of dollars every year just to keep the wood chips going. Yep. This is going to have a rubberized surface that if it does get broken, it can get replaced very easily, very modular in how it can get done. So it's much safer. And I think the fun factor for the kids know how to make fun, and it'll still be there. And then the bricks, all the nostalgia that goes with the prior brick project and the entryway, that'll still be there for everybody to enjoy for generations to come.
Definitely. And so the new playground installation begins next week, and this was a fun process. The community got involved in choosing the final option for the new playground too.
Yeah, there were a lot of different options, and the one that got the most really overwhelming support as opposed to all the other ones was that design that people voted on through Palco. Yep. They came to Tuesday night at the Leach and were able to vote there, and overwhelmingly, and quite honestly, it was my favorite too.
It was mine as well. So yeah, and the old structure, it served us well for, I think it was 22 years, and so we'll miss the old Little Oshkosh, but we're excited for new memories to be made on the new playground. And definitely check out the Facebook page. I'm sure they'll be giving updates on the Parks Department's Facebook page on the whole project, and we're looking forward to the new playground.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Moving down our list, another update that we definitely want to hit on is water utility bills. Now, there's been a lot of active conversation on social media, ranging from high bills and bills that might have changed a little bit since we switched from quarterly to monthly. And so the city is kind of just wanting to address those issues and kind of hopefully help out some of our customers understand them.
Yeah, there's a lot of new things going on, but the usage is pretty much the same. But for some people who may have not been used to paying attention to their bills because they came in quarterly and maybe you took it for granted. And also, we do periodically have people who use an excessive amount of water unknowingly. Some of the big culprits are leaky toilets, faucets running outside, and people don't realize the massive amount of water that can get used. And some people are just frankly, in denial that that's possible. Whatever your concern is, a couple residents said, well, can you just have a meeting about that? So we said, absolutely. So local resident Ann Risa put some items on social media. So we're going to have a little session Monday, September 9th. It's going to be at 3:30 in the afternoon at City Hall Room 404. Questions and answers. We're going to have staff from water distribution that deals with water usage, can give you hints on what to look for. You can explain your situation. Maybe we can assist you in identifying what may be causing some overusage issues. If you think there's a mistake, we're certainly going to keep an open mind to that. We'll talk to you about your utility bill and how that works. If there's any high usage, is there any opportunity for you to get a credit? It depends on your situation, so we'll work with you on your situation. Now, with that all said, we wanted to make this available to people, but right now you can do that you can call our water distribution or our utility billing department anytime and get the same service, but this is a concentrated place where everybody will be able to do it, and we think it's the least we can do. There's still a little bit of anxiety over everything with the changes with the new monthly billing system. The idea was to give people more reliable information more often, and there's still a little bit of adjusting to do, and we want to make sure that it's easily understandable, and if we can use this as an opportunity to better educate the public on water conservation, we have an obligation to do that. Yeah, technically the city gets less revenue, but we also use less chemicals and all those things. So it's a win-win. When we help reduce your water usage, we help the environment as well.
Definitely. So we're listening. We're ready to talk Monday, September 9th at 3:30 p.m. in room 404. And again, like you said, we're always available to chat. That's just one time that everyone will be all in the same room. But always give Water Utility Accounting a call if you have any questions at 232-5325. Moving down our list, we've got a really fun update here with the fire department. They recently were awarded a Wisconsin Public Service grant, and they were able to purchase some new rescue saws. So I'm going to go ahead and let the quotes speak for themselves, and we'll take a look and come back.
The fire department was a lucky recipient of a grant from Wisconsin Public Service, and with that grant, we are purchasing brand new rescue saws. The intent of the saws, we mainly use them for our department for forcible entry. Cutting steel is the main use of these types of saws. And as you probably saw with the presentation, they're replacing saws that are getting quite old in the department. So we're very fortunate to receive the grant and very pleased. We'll put them to good use. It was a surprise to all of us here. We had a little advance notice something was happening, but we really didn't know what. So it was a nice surprise for us today in the department. As far as I can see, they're all pretty excited. Of course, we'll get our hands on them here in the upcoming weeks to train on them. They are different than the ones we currently have. So we'll have to get a little training time in on them before they go into service on the trucks. But that should only take a week or two to get that accomplished.
So Oshkosh Media was happy to be there when they did. The representatives from WPS were there, and it was kind of fun because they were doing training, and they walked out, and he's like, "Well, I guess this saw is kind of dated and it's getting old," and then they came out with the new saws. So it was really fun to see.
Those saws get used so much, and when they're heavily used.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had these for a number of years. So WPS, wonderful donation, and they do have to get trained on them, so you had to use a little trickery. I have no idea how they figured, why they wondered why you were coming to a training session.
All the cameras were there,
All the cameras are there just for a saw training session. But the saw training went to good use because they were trying out new saws, but they are wonderful new saws, and they do, Battalion Chief Betcher talked about forcible entry, which sounds real, invasive, but when there's a fire, they need to get through that stuff. They need to get through concrete and steel and all sorts of things like that. And these saws are really something else. Mm-hmm. And we're so pleased that our fire staff are going to be able to use this type of equipment in the future. And again, thanks to WPS for their generosity.
Yes, definitely some great news coming out of the fire department last Tuesday here. And then we want to give a little update too. Actually, just this morning there was an exercise that took place with the Oshkosh Police Department and several other law enforcement agencies here in Winnebago County. It was the CART exercise, which is the Child Abduction Response Team. So let's take a look at some of the things that were done this morning in this exercise.
The Child Abduction Response Team, it's a multi-jurisdictional team made up of over 20 different public and private sector agencies, primarily the 7 law enforcement agencies within Winnebago County, as well as several of our fire departments are the major role players in that. And it's an organized, pre-planned response to a child abduction incident for anywhere in Winnebago County.
The scenario just involves an incident that happened towards the end of EAA, and where a child went missing, and now the search division is part of the entire CART team that's out here setting up and assisting in any searches that need to be done at the EAA grounds.
So as you can see, the simulation was there pretending if an EAA incident happened. Nothing happened at EAA. It was a great location to do it. But all of the agencies in Winnebago County participate in this because when there's a child abduction, you want to make sure that all hands are on deck. So we'll lend ourselves out to other agencies, and other agencies will lend assistance to us when this happens. And so the CART team, the Child Abduction Response Team, does this type of training, and they're looking at for any little hint out there. I think you were saying they'll look for a sock or just
a hair clip or anything, really.
Anything. Yeah. So they're trained to just really be very specific and intense in their view, but that's how you're able to find somebody. Sometimes just a kid who got lost, and other times it's an abduction, and they follow the same protocol because they don't take chances with this stuff.
Yes, so it's great to see all the different, people getting together within Winnebago County for that familiarity and working together and updating any training exercises that they're doing. So we were happy to see that, and Oshkosh Media was happy to be a part of that this morning. So thanks to all those law enforcement agencies and public safety for working that out. And then one more thing on law enforcement, it's kind of our little public safety episode here today in the first half, is the Oshkosh Fire Department and Oshkosh Police Department are going to be battling it out once again with their lovable rivalry that they have, and that's with the Battle of the Badges blood drive in honor of 9/11.
So on September 11th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. over at Fire Station 18 over at Murdoch at Bowen. It's American Red Cross doing their blood drive, so you can look up this website or call this number shown on your screen, or just swing by Station 18 on that date and time, and you have to pick one or the other. There's this little friendly competition going on between police and fire, so you're going to have to pick one, and whoever gets the most pints of blood donated has some little rivalry.
They have a
award.
wager going, yes. So when you donate, you get to vote for one or the other, and the fire department will be making chili for the police department if they do not reach the police department's number of pints or whatever measurement it ends up being, and the police department will be wagering coffee and donuts, I believe, for the fire department.
So not too stereotypical, huh?
No, not at all.
But there'll be some giveaways, and there'll be food available for imprints donating some items for people. So it's a really neat event. And certainly an absolute great cause, donating blood to help with the shortages that we get year-round in that area.
Yes, open to the public. Anybody's welcome. And once again, it's to honor 9/11 and never forgetting that day. Wednesday, September 11th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We hope to see everybody out there. So now it's that time of the show where viewers have the opportunity to ask their city manager anything they'd like about things that are happening right here in the city of Oshkosh. It's the question mark segment. So let's go ahead and see what the question is this week. All right, so question mark is, I received a letter about a leaf study in my neighborhood. What's this all about?
Well, it's a very small area, but we answer the question no matter how narrow it might be. We were asked by the United States Geological Service and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to participate in a study. So they were out here last year doing some measurement with how much impact leaves have on phosphorus, which causes the blue-green algae blooms in Lake Winnebago. So this year is the year that they they do the comparison. So this is only for a very small area, and it's this area that's shown in blue here. It's just west of Oakwood Road, and it's a portion of Wheatfield Way and Timothy Trail, just the area shown in blue. Everybody in the neighborhood, in that neighborhood, has received a letter saying, we are not going to be picking up your leaves in the fall through Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, we'll pick them up, but we're going to be participating to see what kind of impact they have. The area in the gray, business as usual, we'll be picking up the leaves, and we just want to see what kind of impact, or the USGS is looking to see what kind of phosphorus impact. Not exactly sure why we were picked to be the guinea pigs, but we're the guinea pigs for this, and if it helps understand more about phosphorus, which everybody hates those algae blooms, and we want to certainly be part of any study that would help understand that issue better. So it was just a very small group. I know some stuff on social media was like, oh, the city's not picking up leaves this year.
No, we are picking 50 houses.
Yeah, but they will get picked up after Thanksgiving.
Right.
Everybody else in the city, don't worry about it. It's okay. And Timothy Trail and Whitfield Way, you've gotten the notice, but we'll be picking up leaves everywhere else in the city like we normally do. And then after Thanksgiving, we'll be out there to clean up the leaves from the little experiment that took place. And I think the USGS recognizes that there might be an impact on lawns if the leaves are left out there too long.
Yes, so the city has offered to reseed those terrace areas where the lawns were affected and the grass, ends up potentially dying under the leaves. So we do appreciate that it's not the ideal situation. So we do want to say that we're thankful for the patience and the involvement that these homeowners are.
So you're going to have leaves out there for a while. So what do you do? Well, I think back when I was a kid. There's so many things you can do with the leaves before you ultimately rake them out onto the. And you have that, somebody just not too happy about raking, but leave them out for the kids to jump in them.
Yeah.
I have great memories of doing that. I wouldn't do it today with my back, but certainly would encourage people to do that. And so whatever you want to use them for until such time as you rake them out there in the terrace after Thanksgiving, we'll come back and pick them up.
Definitely. So great question. And as always, that one, well, not as always, but a lot of them have come from Facebook in the last few questions for question marks. So we're going to keep scouring Facebook. Make sure if you do have a question to send it over to us, whether that be on Twitter, Facebook, or email, and we'll make sure that he answers it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will dive into the Common Council meeting agenda highlights for Tuesday, September 10th. We'll be right back.
The Oshkosh Public Museum Board of Directors brings together history advocates and community leaders and enlists them with the important role of stewarding our city's rich history. The board was established in 1924 and operates within the broader framework of the City of Oshkosh government. Members are tasked with ensuring that the museum remains focused on its mission to document and preserve the ideas and values representing Oshkosh and the Lake Winnebago region. The Board of Directors oversees numerous aspects of museum operations. This includes raising funds, directing revenues, and reviewing and adopting museum policies. Most importantly, board members champion and promote the Oshkosh Public Museum throughout the community and strengthen and guide the future of the museum. The board helps ensure that adequate resources are available to continue to operate the museum on a professional level. From time to time, board members will be enlisted to create and oversee ad hoc committees and may be required to meet with the Common Council on special projects. The Oshkosh Museum Board of Directors and the many other boards and committees who serve the City of Oshkosh are an extremely important part of our local government and community. We encourage you to consider serving on a city board or commission to help make Oshkosh a great place to live, work, and play.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're going to take a look at the September 10th Common Council meeting agenda and just take a look at some highlights and go through some of the things that we have to look forward to next Tuesday. So, Mark, first thing that we want to talk about here is the introduction of some new city staff. We've got Russ Van Gompel, the new Director of Finance.
Russ is our new Finance Director. I've had the fortune of knowing Russ for over 25 years now. He's been he was a finance director in the past and then became a city manager. So that's how I got to know Russ. And he relocated to the area, and encouraged him to consider joining our team. And he tested us out for a little while. He was doing some interim work for us as the interim finance director, and now he decided to accept the position full time. We're happy to have him. So previous to this, he was city manager for the city of Eau Claire. So it's great to have some one of your colleagues and peers joining your team. I've got a great perspective from a fellow city manager, and I don't have to pick up the phone anymore. He's right here in the office. So he's already been working with our long-range finance committee on debt management issues, rolling up his sleeves with budget. Real excited to have him be part of our team.
Yeah, very excited to have a new face here with the city staff at City Hall. And then actually it's going to tie perfectly into a couple other items that we wanted to discuss on the agenda here, which is the updating of the designation for authorized individuals. And this is just kind of some bookkeeping stuff, right?
Yeah, the finance director is also the city treasurer, so that the treasurer is responsible for investments and things like that. So all the official paperwork that has to get done so that Russ can do his job, those will be on the agenda for the council to approve.
Excellent. Well, welcome to Russ, and we look forward to working with him and getting all of these things taken care of here at the City of Oshkosh. Moving down, we got a pretty short agenda actually. So under pending ordinances, we've got the approval for the ordinance permitting appointment of non-voting youth members to city boards and commissions. So kind of just give us a little recap of what this is, Mark.
There's been discussion amongst the council about getting ways to get youth engaged in the community, and one of the ideas was, after we had a discussion about adding alternates to all of our boards and commissions that will allow them, do the same thing with youth members. They wouldn't have voting rights, but they'd be able to participate with the boards and commissions. So we're going to do this, and then we'll start soliciting youth of our community to be part of our boards and commissions. Real excited about getting that youthful perspective to things.
Definitely. So be on the lookout for info on how to sign up if you're interested, or if you know someone who's interested. So better engaging our young people here in Oshkosh to get involved in our municipal government. It's
absolutely
great. Under new resolutions, we've got the approval of CIP budget adjustment of $150,000 for the Lakeshore Riverwalk project. Tell us a little bit about what brought about this pretty big adjustment here.
Well, it is a big adjustment. As we were doing excavating for the Riverwalk near Lakeshore Park, this is in the area where the parking lot to the former Lakeshore Golf Course was, and that was filled many, many years ago. And as we excavated, we discovered some soil and some fill that was put there that has some petroleum contamination. So we have to clean that up. There was no way of knowing that until you dig it up. And so to keep the project going, because we still want to get it done, we need to be able to do change orders, and we know that we're going to need some funds for this and for anything else, because our bids were very tight this year, so we don't have any contingency left. So we're seeking $150,000 to make sure that we have enough to take care of this change order as well as anything else. So that'll keep the project going so that the trail will be out there by around October 1st.
Good. Great to hear that we can still stay on schedule and continue that assessment.
Yeah, and then we're going to have to take a look at what other contamination may be out there. There is a blessing in disguise, because the fear in the DNR has is that there may be some petroleum leaching into the river, which until this project there was no way we would have known. Now that we are aware of it, now we can take a look at it, and if there's any contamination, we're going to have to address it. But the project will continue, but we have to take a look and make sure there's no more contamination. We didn't find anything on the Oshkosh Corp site, because that had to go through similar soil borings and things. When we did all the archaeological digging and everything, we didn't find anything there. So we're hoping that this is a pretty concentrated area just to the parking lot, but we have to do our due diligence for environmental protection.
Excellent. So it's good to hear that the assessment will continue as the project moves forward, and then also will stay on schedule, like you said, open sometime in October, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Wonderful. Continuing under new resolutions, we've got the approval of appointments to Ad Hoc Special Assessment Committee. We put the ask out, and we've got a list of people that have applied for this committee. So what's the next step, Mark?
We had about 18 applicants, and the council is going to appoint 10 to 12 people, we were looking for a cross-section of businesses, residents, institutional. I think we have that. both residents and a few non-residents who may have some interest in, say, business or something like that, as well as a couple council members. So the work is going to be very short, about 3 months. So get the committee appointed and then get them together and get them rolling up their sleeves.
Put them right to work, right? On that tight timeline. We're looking forward to what they come up with and some of the recommendations that they have for our council. Right after that, we've got the support legislative action at the state and federal level to address incidents of mass violence and gun safety legislation. And this is more making council's stance known to the state, right?
This, it's so tragic, all the shootings that have been happening, and locally we don't have any formal control. So what this is saying is the council's saying they want to support some legislative action at the state and federal level. And there may be some disagreements on what level you do that, but the resolution says, please do something. We recognize that it's a problem nationwide. We hope and pray it never happens here, but we certainly want something that's practical. Chief Smith of our police department has looked at this resolution and says these are things that will actually help law enforcement do their job. So we're hoping that we can join many other municipalities in trying to do this support.
Excellent. Under future agenda items, we want to remind people of the upcoming budget workshop on September 18th. And it's already our number 3 workshop, right?
Right, budget workshop number 3. This one we talk about capital improvements in general, as well as debt management, how we fund capital improvement. So this one, September 18th at 5 p.m. This is the last one before the budget is actually distributed to council, and then they start really getting into the nuts and bolts of that. But tune in and learn more about our budget process.
Yes, we'll be covering it live. It'll be on for replay on all of our channels. So definitely get educated about our budget process, and we look forward to continuing it. And then finally, we have under your announcements and statements, Mark, is the Lakeshore Park Master Plan schedule. What's the update on that?
We have gotten some incredible input, and sometimes there's good and bad. Great public input, and there were 3 general plans that were presented to the Parks Board. And so don't get married to any one of these, because what the Parks Board really said was they wanted a conglomeration of all 3. So that's taken a little more work, but that's okay. That's part of the whole process. And so the Parks Board has their next meeting on Monday, September 9th, but they're not quite ready. So they want to give it another month, so they won't be meeting until October 14th. So this is the new schedule. We still expect the council to approve it on either October 22nd or November 12th, but you'll see we move things back a month, and that's not bad, because what they're doing is they're making sure that the final touches that the consulting firm puts on it and presents to the Parks Board is what the Parks Board actually wants, and I think that that's a good process. But we got incredible input either through Palco or the public meetings we've had, and so now you have to mesh and mush 3 different plans together to get one that everybody can generally agree on, and that's not easy, but it's a very important process, and we're happy to have been part of that.
So wanting to make sure that all the information is there, ready to go, that we're ready to present a really fine-tuned park plan.
Yeah, so look for October 14th, where the final version will be reviewed and voted on by the Parks Board.
Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to that too and continuing that process. And with that wraps up all the items that we had for the Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda highlights for September 10th. So that's going to do it for us today. So Mark, I'd like to thank you once again for joining us on CMR today.
It's always a pleasure.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app. Make sure to like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or be sure to check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. As always, don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Rohloff, send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it on our Facebook page, or email us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. So once again, thank you so much for joining us on your City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.